You are meant to have 1,000 funerals because you are meant to continue growing. And as you grow out of who you were. You take the good, you take the learnings, you take the lessons, you take the growth, but you also have to let go of who you were, who you've outgrown, who you no longer want to be. That's part of it.
Welcome to Breakthrough Mode, the podcast where we intentionally get into the driver's seat of our lives, shift out of monotony and mediocrity, and step on the gas towards becoming the person we were always meant to become.
Hello and welcome to episode 237 on the Breakthrough Mode podcast. I'm your host, Megan Bauer. Thank you so much for joining me today and pushing play on today's episode. Today, I want to share with you a quote that I have kept in my back pocket for months. And I knew it was destined to be something I talked about on the podcast. I just didn't have any substance to it yet. And today, as I was considering what I was going to chat about with you, it came to me and the substance showed up and it all comes together just as it always does. So I found this quote in James Clear's weekly newsletter. It's called 321. It is such a good newsletter. I would highly recommend it. And I get nothing by saying that, but it is just a good newsletter to be on. And my newsletter is also great if you want to be on that. I've got a link for mine specifically in my show notes. And if you want to be on James Clear's newsletter, you can go find that yourself. That James Clear wrote Atomic Habits, if you don't know who I'm talking about. So he's a phenomenal writer and his email is super great. Anyways, so I found this quote on his newsletter and it is by author Heidi Priebe. And she wrote, "To love someone long term is to attend 1,000 funerals of the people they used to be. The people they're too exhausted to be any longer. The people they don't recognize inside themselves anymore. The people they grew out of. The people they never ended up growing into. We so badly want the people we love to get their spark back when it burns out, to become speedily found when they are lost. But it is not our job to hold anyone accountable to the people they used to be. It is our job to travel with them between each version and to honor what emerges along the way." I thought that was such a beautiful quote, and I love this idea and analogy of to love someone is to attend 1,000 funerals of the people they used to be. And immediately when I read this quote, I took a screenshot and I sent it to Jake and I said, "Thank you for attending all of my funerals." And I wanted to take a second to honor him today because when this episode airs, we will have just celebrated our 15-year anniversary. And that's a pretty big milestone, I think. Our 15-year anniversary, and that was a lot of funerals that he attended for me on my behalf of the people that I used to be, the people that a version of myself that I thought I wanted to grow into and then decided that I didn't. The versions of me who did this or did that. Because if you know me and my history, I've done and tried a lot of things. I have looked high, low, behind every tree and under every rock for who I am meant to be. And that led me on this crazy path where all of the funerals were necessary, where I had to let go of who I was or who I thought I wanted to be in order to continue the search, continue the journey, continue discovering who it is I wanted to be, who it is I was meant to be, and figuring that out, right? So he attended a lot of funerals on my behalf. And so I wanted to take this moment, to express gratitude for that and give you the opportunity to internally or externally express gratitude for the people who've attended your funerals as you have been on your path and your journey, as you have looked behind every tree and under every rock to figure out who it is that you are and what it is you are meant to do on this planet. Because there are people that have stood by and encouraged you all along the way with every new idea, with every new endeavor, with every new job start, or this or that or the other. There are people who have been constant and who have stood there and attended your funerals and have cheered you on, right? It's our job to travel with them between each version and to honor what emerges along the way. And Jake has changed too, of course. We laugh at home because he has his own little side hustle, a jerky business, and and he smokes his own jerky, and I'm like, I didn't know I was marrying a smoker, and he's like, or a butcher, as he's chopping meat, big chunks of meat. Okay, anyways, so here is the thing though. When we are the person on the journey, when we are the person whose funeral is in our honor, when we are that person, we tend to have a degree of self-judgment. We're like, at least I do. Maybe this episode's just for me. I know it's not just for me. We tend to judge ourselves. Why can't I just figure it out? Why can't I get it together? Why can't I be consistent? Why can't I follow through? Why can't I? Why can't I? Whatever, whatever, whatever. We judge ourselves for being on our journey, for trying things out, for experimenting, for testing the waters, for trying to figure it out, who it is that we are, who it is we want to be, what it is we're meant to do in this world. And if you listen to the last Friday episode 234, I chatted about your potential and how it is there. It is so there for you. And sometimes we don't know what that is. We don't know the thing that we're supposed to do in this world. Maybe you listen to that episode and you're like, great, Megan, I'm sold. I'll shine my light. I'll do the work. I'll go down to the storage unit. But what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't even know what direction to walk in. Like, I don't even know what that looks like for me. And I think that's normal. I think that the people who have always known what they're going to do, who just were born knowing their path and their journey, I think that's more of the exception than the rule. However, I would encourage you to just start walking. Start walking. Start with what feels good, with what feels natural, with what you feel called to. Because just as you are meant to do something in this world, just as we clearly need you to play your part, to shine your light, to make your impact, the world wants you to figure it out. The world wants you to be who it is you are meant to be, to make your contribution and to make your impact. And you feel that by a tug in your heart, by feeling called to do something, by even if it doesn't make any sense to anyone, or, it doesn't, nobody in my family does this, or I didn't grow up that way, or whatever the noise. If you feel that within you, trust that, lean into it. And it might not take you directly there. It really might not. You might feel like you are following a squirrel's path to get there, but know that it will lead you there. Bit by bit, everything that you need to know, that you need to do, that you need to pursue will show up, and you will feel that tug, that calling, that, what if I just try this? This feels interesting. This feels good. This feels like maybe. Follow that. You have to allow yourself to follow that. Because if you don't know what will be after it. You don't know what the stepping stones are on your path. And I can look at my journey and I can be like, my stepping stones were all over the freaking place. It's hard to even connect the dots. It's like we're not even connecting dots. We're connecting dots and squares and triangles and whatever. And somehow it all adds up. It all adds up to who you are meant to be, the impact that you are meant to have, the perspective, your own unique perspective and life experience that you are meant to use to contribute, to make your impact, to do your thing. But we want to be all judgy on ourselves. We want to say this is the, perfect straight path, and I want it. If I can't be on that perfect straight path, then I'm not even going to bother. But no paths are perfectly straight. Even the people who just always knew what they were going to do, they might also feel that there were some loops in their path as well. I can't speak from experience because my path was all over the freaking place, but I can tell you that it all adds up somehow. But you have to trust yourself and know that you're in this pursuit of fulfilling your potential, of being who you're meant to be, and trust that it will all show up and make itself clear to you. I was asked the other day by someone, they were like, "Do you want to write a book?" And I was like, "Yeah, book is definitely in my future. I'm definitely going to write a book." And they're like, "What's it about?" And I'm like, "I have no idea. I have no idea what that book is about." I said, and I told them this. It fell out of my mouth, and I was like, "That was brilliant." It fell out of my mouth. I said, "The tab is open, but it's still loading. I have no idea what that book is about." I mean, obviously, it's a personal development book. That'd be crazy if I came out with some sort of fiction something. But anyways, I couldn't tell them what it was about, but I knew it was there. And just like I told you in the last Friday episode in 234, I told you I didn't know what my potential was. I didn't know what my path was. I didn't know what my work was, but I knew it was there. I knew it was there. So maybe if you're in this space of like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do, can you tap into knowing that it's there? The tab is open. That potential tab is open. That tab of potential is open. It might be loading. You might be on dial-up, but it is there. It is open. And the more you connect into it, oh, I love this analogy. The more you connect into it, the more it will load. The more information will be available to you, the more you will see, the more you will be able to act on, and the more you act on it, the faster it'll load, the faster you'll be able to see it, and it will all come together. Just like I told this person who asked me if I wanted to write a book. I was like, yeah, it's there. It's so there. I haven't been connecting into it because I'm busy, but I know that that book is there. And when I'm ready for that book, it will show up. It will show up 100%. I've done this podcast long enough to know that any tabs you leave open, it will show up. It will show up. It will show up. I was also having a conversation with somebody else, talking a lot about my conversations today. And I told them that I have lived many lives. And when I said it, I knew in the back of my head that I was referencing this quote that I opened this episode with about the 1,000 funerals. I said, I've lived many lives. You wouldn't know the things that I have done from what you know about me right now, but I have lived many lives. And I think that's okay. Actually, I think that's really fun. I think that makes us more dynamic. I think that makes us more, I don't know, more fun. Like, it's so cool to know. Like, I love knowing what I know. I love knowing how to quilt. I love knowing how to use Adobe Illustrator. I love so many things that I have learned in living the many lives that I have learned. But there's a part of us that wants to judge ourselves for living those lives, for not being consistent, for being all over the place, for not knowing who we are, who we want to be, or what we're meant to do. And the message here is this. On today's episode, the message here is this. That's part of it. That's part of it. You are meant to have 1,000 funerals because you are meant to continue growing. And as you grow out of who you were. That's just part of it. You cannot grow into an adult and stay in your toddler clothes, no matter how cute they are. You have to grow out of it. You have to put that version of you away. Not necessarily away. You have to let go of that version of you, and you take that version with you. You take the good, you take the learnings, you take the lessons, you take the growth, but you also have to let go of who you were, who you've outgrown, who you no longer want to be. That's part of it. Sometimes we get mad at our kids. Jake and I, maybe not, less Jake, more me. I get mad at our kids. I'm like, where's my baby? Like, where did my baby go? And they're like, in your phone. She's in your phone. She's in videos. Sorry. And there's no compassion there. They don't care. But I'm like, but my baby. And they're like, yeah, sorry, mom, she's gone. Right? They don't feel any sort of judgment about growing up. They're like, this is part of it. Figure it out, mom. I don't care. And there's a point where we hit an adult when it's like, okay, now I'm an adult. I have my Costco membership. I've got a house. I've got kids. I need to know exactly what I'm doing now. And it's really not the case. So if you don't know what your potential is, my invitation to you is to lean into what is calling you, to lean into what feels right, what feels good, what feels aligned, even what feels like, man, that would be amazing if. Lean into that. Do that. Take a step in that direction and trust. Trust that it will all add up for you and it will all lead you to where you need to be. And then, if you do know what your potential is, but you're freaked out about it and you feel kind of like, well, who am I to do that? Or I'm not good enough, or I don't know enough, or I'm not whatever enough. If that's your story, you know what your potential is, but you have it buried deep, 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 deep down. I invite you to start planning your next funeral. Start letting go of who you are right now so you can step into that version of you. Because I promise you, it will feel so much better when you step into being who you know you're meant to be, especially, hear me on this, especially if you know who that person is. If you know what you are meant to do and you are ignoring it, boy howdy, my friend, that hurts. It's uncomfortable. You have this level of betraying yourself. You have this level of ignoring yourself, not trusting yourself, and none of that feels good. So I would encourage you, however feels most doable, if you know who you're meant to be, you know what your potential is, you know what you're supposed to contribute, and you're just freaking scared, I would encourage you to do whatever it is that you can do. Start small, increase the intensity after that, but start being that person. And it will feel like a relief because right now you've got all this pressure built up. You know who it is you're meant to be. You know you've got this person inside of you, but you're smashing her down and it hurts and it feels like pressure. And once you start releasing that pressure, you will feel so much better. I promise you that. As squirrely as my story has been, all the different things I've tried, I can also trace it back to a moment, one evening, a very clear evening when we lived in our last house. I remember exactly where I was, sitting on the bed, looking out at our bay window, and I knew that I was meant to work in personal development. I knew that I was meant to work with people, guide, coach, support them. I knew it. I knew it in my bones. And I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to even start. And so I ignored it. I did other stuff. I did lots of other things. But I knew deep down in my soul that I wasn't living my calling, that I wasn't pursuing my calling. So I kind of did both of these things. I squirreled around, but I knew that I was meant to contribute in the personal development world. But I was too freaked out. I didn't know how to do it. And because I didn't know how to do it, I didn't do it. And I didn't even think about figuring out how to do it. So I've been there too. And I know how good it feels to finally step in to being who it is you're meant to be. And the way that showed up for me, if you're interested, was this podcast. You know, when I started this podcast in 2023 and told no one about it, I started the podcast. I think I told my dad and I told my mom, and maybe that was it. Jake knew. And that was it. Because that was the most approachable, least scary way for me to dip my toe into my potential, to start on that path and start on that journey. And it still took a couple of years for me to spend for me to dedicate full time to it. So if you've been following along, allow your journey, however that shows up for you. Don't judge yourself. Know it all adds up. And for crying out loud, please step into your potential. Be who you are meant to be. And honor who you've been. Buy the flowers for your funeral. Go buy yourself flowers today. Buy yourself flowers for your funeral. And step into who you are meant to be next. I totally love you. Bye for now.